Jordan Sather, taken to the woodshed. Let's get into it. Hey, I'm Joe from the Carolinas, helping you confront the paranormal with reason, logic, and common sense. Everything I'm going to say in this video is about public statements that Destroying the Illusion has made, public comments, and I am not attacking his person. I actually think that he is a wonderful person as a human being, and I wish him nothing but the best. Now listen, let's get the first things first out of the way. If you are attracted to this video because you're a troll and you're one of these people that is a Jordan Sather fanatic, that's fine. I'm going to get all the accusations out of the way first. I'm a Zionist, shill, Jew, Vatican, Catholic, Illuminati, CIA, DIA, FBI, NSA, Interpol, alien, reptilian, you name it, agent. Okay? So now that that's over with, we can get on with the program. Back in December, Jordan Sather from Destroying the Illusion began following this Q phenomenon, or Q Anon. For those of you that don't know, Q Anon began posting cryptic messages on different boards online, claiming to be inside or very close to the Trump administration, and then proceeded to link breadcrumbs on these different message boards, 4chan and 8chan. And over the course of time, about December, Jordan Sather from Destroying the Illusion began also covering Q. Now the problem is, in order to properly follow these Q drops, which each drop would occur multiple times a day, oftentimes with different lines of things to decode, because Q Anon, this person or group, would write things in sort of a cryptic way because they were claiming to have Q level security clearance, which is part of a Department of Energy security classification. So we're taking Jordan Sather to the woodshed by bringing up all of the other stuff that he'd been up to prior to Q. And I know that many of you out there that have been following Q religiously, day after day after day, reading all the breadcrumbs, Jordan Sather, before QAnon, was all about evidenceless claims of people that these people were involved in secret space programs involving alien extraterrestrial species and contact with them. So that's what he was journalistically reporting on back then. I have personally avoided doing any videos on Jordan Sather until now, because in the past, when I started doing critical analysis videos on people in the secret space program world, like Corey Good, David Wilcox, Fear Being Alliance, and all that, I actually got death threats. So I didn't want to get any more, but I feel compelled. Now we're at some transitional period. And so I feel compelled to have the courage to shoot this video for you, to lay all the facts out. Let's take a look at some YouTubers that have done some really awesome work and had a great deal of courage, quite frankly, to begin to take Jordan Sather respectfully to the woodshed. And we're going to start off with a guy by the name of Ross Madden, who'd been attacked viciously in his channel for having the courage to come out and refute Jordan Sather's faulty, speculative logic. So I'm making this video to serve and help Ross and everybody else in the community as backup, okay? Because there's more than just one or two or three people out here doing this. So here's Ross Madden.
QAnon stay the course. Jordan Sather and QAnon debunked. And I believe Jordan Sather is a blind follower.
Classified information.
Jordan says he's going to do some deciphering while he goes, but he doesn't do any deciphering, he just reads, so we'll decipher for you.
I see a lot of projection. They're projecting and making statements that they themselves are in fact the people that are guilty of.
Projection is very, very bad. Remember that. Always remember, projection's bad.
that they themselves are in fact the people that are guilty of, like claiming people are in a cult and things like that. But
You in a cult, Ross?
And don't claim people are in cults. That's really mean. That's bad. Don't claim that.
we're in a cult
Am I in a cult? Nope.
and things like that. But this anti-Q crowd is, almost like a cult, and they're using very cult-like behavior and cult-like thinking.
How come Jordan keeps talking about cults?
Wait a second. No. They're a cult. I'm not a cult. They're a cult.
What's all this about the cults?
Almost like a cult, and they're using very cult-like behavior and cult-like thinking. I see a lot of confirmation bias in a lot of these new anti-Q arguments, and people are basically cherry-picking data sets and then weaving together a particular narrative or belief or ideology based upon this cherry-picked information.
Q is literally the confirmation bias machine. You see the number 17 and you just assume that's Q. Like, that's what confirmation bias is. That's the definition of confirmation bias. Donald Trump does a weird thing with his hand and you think he's drawing Q. That's confirmation bias. Something good happens in the news and Q wrote boom last week. That's confirmation bias.
All right, in this next clip, we got a young YouTuber named Positive Momentum. Do go check his YouTube channel out. Check out what he has to say about Jordan Sather.
Listen, I've got to keep repeating this message because it's so important. Jordan Sather is taking the cake. He just put out this tweet. So Donald Trump's administration has banned the CDC from using the terms science-based and evidence-based in their reports, in addition to fetus, transgender, and a couple other words. Now, Jordan Sather tweets, science-based and evidence-based are two of the biggest buzz phrases used to control minds. When you see these words trying to persuade you something is true, it's fantasyland info. Example, vaccines and GMO science. Do you know how easy it is to fabricate science and evidence? Well then, Jordan, why don't you start fabricating some evidence for your theories? Some real evidence, because you have no evidence.
Positive Momentum makes an excellent point regarding this tweet and apparent belief system that Jordan reveals to everybody that, and I've got it right here. I mean, look, when you see these words science-based and evidence-based, they're two of the biggest buzzwords used to control minds. People are trying to persuade you something's true. It's fantasyland info. And he says, do you know how easy it is to fabricate science and evidence? Okay, so let's try it this way. If we're going to throw out science-based and evidence-based, that's fine. Then what that means is there are no mainstream science treatments for cancer, diabetes, coronary artery disease, or any other medical problem that would require any form of medication. If we don't take a science or evidence-based approach to treatment of any kind of illness, then, hey, medications won't even be available. Efficacy studies, lethal dosing studies, things like that, we wouldn't know how much medicine to give somebody. Heck, we wouldn't even know whether medicine's worked or not. The reason why calling things evidence-based, if in fact they are, is to illustrate that there is at least some bit of evidence that this particular medication, this particular process or procedure isn't going to lead to harm. So when we talk about science and evidence, it's to prevent harm to the public, not to control minds. Is it true that we can box ourselves in a corner and only choose things or go in directions that are science-based or evidence-based? Sure, but isn't that everyone's right to make that decision for themselves, as opposed to throwing that away because it's a buzz phrase used to control minds? Furthermore, without any kind of science-based or evidence-based to our society today, I think Jordan Sather runs a little short in this direction too. He would not have any knowledge of torsion physics or even standard physics of which torsion physics are based off of. Folks, Jordan Sather's all about saying that he believes that there are these secret spaceships that are interplanetary and intergalactic and have all these aliens running around up there with humans, and that the United States military has spent trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in black budget, unacknowledged programs for this secret space program. But if that secret space program is not science-based or evidence-based, then there is no secret space program. There couldn't possibly be. With no science, you can't design an engine. With no evidence, you also don't have a legal system. So if somebody does a damage, hey, we're going to throw out the importance of evidence. We're not going to say that this legal case is evidence-based. So what does Jordan Sather propose as an alternative? I really hope that if we end up living in a non-science-based world where evidence is not used because it's a mind control buzzword, I truly hope that nobody ever gets sick, nobody ever needs to have their blood checked. Heck, without science, we wouldn't even know what blood was composed of. We wouldn't even be able to synthesize certain chemicals down here on the farm without any science or evidence. I wouldn't even have access to a Brix refractometer, which is a little device that you squeeze vegetable juice into to see how nutrient rich it is, for everybody's health. Well, that's a device of science to produce evidence-based, organic, non-GMO food. It's like a quality check to make sure that I have evidence to support claims when I give food to people. So I don't think Sather has really thought this thing out very much. MRI scans, get x-rays, get CT scans, those things would all be impossible if we did not have some factual basis in the scientific evidence-based approach to veterinary care as well as medications and medicine in and of itself. What does Jordan Sather propose? What, we go back to bloodletting? I mean, that sounds kind of grisly and grim and cult-like, don't it? And thank goodness we have thermometers available in every first aid kit, and most people have a thermometer somewhere around their medicine cabinet. Without a science or evidence-based approach, we wouldn't need thermometers, right? We would just, I guess, intuitively know when we're having a fever and need to go to the hospital, but without science or evidence, we wouldn't have hospitals now, would we? I don't know, but I'm just sticking to the facts, and we can logically play that thing out. Besides, Nikola Tesla, who I have seen Jordan Sather appreciates, Nikola Tesla had a science and evidence-based approach to the development of his technologies, his free energy technologies, and his electricity alternating current technologies, didn't he? I mean, based on Tesla's own work, his own books, which I've read, he would make machines in his head and assemble them and watch as they moved and performed over the course of time before he even put pen to paper. Folks, we call that an evidence-based approach. He was looking for evidence that the machine would break down, he could correct his design, and then when it came time to put it down on paper, he already knew how things were going to turn out. In science, we assume that things are going to break down, so we try to build evidence to ensure the less of a likelihood that things will go in a direction we don't want to see. I appreciate positive momentum for bringing this up to the floor for everybody to be aware of, because I'm not seeing many people talking about this stuff, so good job. His channel, Destroying the Illusion, blew up after he began covering the secret space program stuff, and it blew up even more after he began covering Q. Now, Q Anonymous drops and reading the breadcrumbs and linking things together to figure out what's going on with this deep state and cabal, so to speak. That requires a great deal of time, effort, and attention and mental energy. And I readily admit, and have been readily admitting, that I personally don't have that kind of time, effort, or mental energy to follow the QAnon phenomenon. I do have a couple videos out on QAnon, and in those videos I tell you when I'm speculating, I tell you that I don't know. And so that's why I stopped doing QAnon videos and refocused the QAnon videos I am doing on some of the claims that are being made by the people involved. Jordan Sather calls himself a journalist. Jordan Sather is not a journalist. By his own report, Jordan Sather does not have a degree in journalism. Period. In fact, Jordan Sather keeps saying that he's speculating. He says this a lot. So Jordan Sather, if anything, he is a speculative journalist. And you know, I think we've arrived at a point where speculation basically becomes idiotic. Why do I say that? Look at what the dictionary says about speculate. Speculation is reasoning based on inconclusive evidence, a conjecture or supposition. Folks, conjecture just means a statement, opinion, or a conclusion based on guesswork, on inconclusive or incomplete evidence. If Jordan Sather wants to be a speculative journalist, then I could take on that role. I could speculate that Jordan Sather is going to be the next president of these United States. I'm speculating. Is Google going to give me 60,000 subscribers now? Let me tell you, I don't think I can handle that kind of subscribership. Honestly, I just don't think I can handle it. The other component to this is, for me, it's not a vanity thing, okay? It's irrelevant to me how many subscribers I have, although I do appreciate those of you that click on and decide to follow me. I mean, life gets a lot stressful when you get up there near the top, and I always tend to feel a little bit more comfortable near the bottom. My point is that if I speculate with a whiteboard behind me that Jordan Sather is going to be president of the United States of America in 2020, well, that's not based on truth. It's guessing. So let's not speculate. Let's just focus on the facts and the truth in taking Jordan Sather to the woodshed. And I want to give props to the work that UniRock and UniRock TV is doing on their channels as well.
I'm just saying people are looking for substance over production value. So
Substance over production value. So he's stating with this sentence that he has more substance, and that's why he doesn't use production value. Now, I watched some of his stuff. See, before I'd only watched clips of his. I actually went and watched full videos of his stuff, okay? And what I don't like about Sather is that I went through his entire video, which says what's been going on in Antarctica, and I listened to the entire damn thing. And he does not have a single reference, he doesn't have a single picture, doesn't have a single piece of video, and I still don't have a problem with that, and I still think he could have good content with not having those things, but then he starts to tell us things like, he states that Antarctica has a very ancient history and that there was a lot of advanced civilizations that were there with advanced technology. Well, that's fine. No big deal there. Then he goes to say that explorers went down to Antarctica, and I don't know who he referenced. I'm thinking maybe the UN, but he didn't say. Back to what I was saying, though. I don't mind if you try to say that Nazis fought the UN in Antarctica with flying UFOs with phasers on them, which, by the way, Sather said it. The point is that Sather is giving opinion, okay? What Sather does, and I know what he does, because I've done it, and I'm not mad at him for doing it, but I'm mad about how he represents himself, and I'm mad about how he judges other YouTubers. Those are my two problems that I'm making a video on UniRock on. Listen to what he says.
I know some of you have been worried because I've been doing more videos of screen captures and things like that the whiteboard's going away. But don't you worry, because obviously it's just so simple. It's so easy to do educational videos or something like this.
It's an educational video. It's not a video of him expressing his opinion. It's not a video of him expressing what he thinks happened. He is literally stating he knows something that other people need to be taught, and he's here to educate them. That is my problem with Sather.
I think Unirock makes an excellent point as far as the whole Antarctica thing and what Jordan Sather has claimed. Even though he's provided no evidence, it is important for you to understand that the concept of Antarctica, even within the conspiracy theory lore, as far as whether Nazis were able to get to Antarctica or not, is still a highly debated topic. So Jordan Sather does not accurately represent the entire myth versus reality of Antarctica and whether the Nazis actually did or did not establish an Antarctic base. Unirock raises another excellent point, and that is that Sather is basically alleging or claiming that he is engaged in some kind of an educational process. The problem with that is, folks, that if there's no evidence, there's no educational process. What are we supposed to do? Believe things on faith? So, in an educational and substance-rich manner, I'd like to show you something. I have a whiteboard. On this whiteboard, I've written, I wear a collared shirt and glasses. I have a bigger whiteboard and I write in colors. I write chemistry equations and facts and I don't speculate. In honor of the desire for Jordan Sather to have substance over production quality with the collared shirt and glasses and a bigger whiteboard, I've mapped out for you the citric acid cycle. Enjoy it. I'm going to talk you through real fast. So the citric acid cycle, which is organic and non-GMO, it's based on science and evidence. With citric acid, what we're doing here in this equation, very simply from organic chemistry, is we're taking a 6-carbon citrate molecule and we're oxidizing that citrate. And this process runs continuously in the presence of sufficient reactants. And this is how we make all of the supplements and new age medications that Jordan Sather has talked about in his videos. So yes, having some substance does require some complication, especially when it comes to supplement formation and the citric acid cycle. Once again, big shout out to Unirock and all the Unirockers out there. Substance over production quality. Organic chemistry. It's science, it's evidence, it's fun, and it's fact. No speculation. Then another YouTuber we got is CW Chanter, who took issue and has taken Jordan Sather to the woodshed, as far as I'm concerned, for what his whole position was during the U.S. attacking Syria incident. Check this out.
That Jordan Sather, even though if he means it or not, unwittingly is endorsing, tacitly endorsing the absolute cabal, Illuminati mindfuckery that he should know better than, especially if he's going out here thinking that he's somehow woke.
Trump decided to send some missiles into Syria. I want to speculate as to what I think's going on behind the scenes, because let's be real. Trump attacking Assad outright makes no sense. I think we can all agree on that. It makes no sense. But what does make sense? What does make sense is that, well, what if Trump and Syria and Russia are all completely LARPing the shit out of everybody and using this as an opportunity to attack some deep state proxy targets? Again, this is just speculation, but it's what my intuition is making me feel. Let me tell you, I have a pretty damn good intuition.
Like half the time, they're telling us that that they believe in the Illuminati and they believe that there's a cabal, and then half the time it's like, it's like Batman's a good guy and a bad guy. Anyway, I'm not saying that that's 100% the way that it is. I'm just saying that that's the Illuminati model. That what we see on the playing field is just a show. As long as we're caught up in that whole conflict game on the street, we're not looking at them and what they're actually doing. So if you subscribe to the Illuminati model of history, Assad, Trump, and Putin are in on it together. And this guy is saying, well, if they're in on it together, that would make sense. That would make sense. But you're somehow go through that whole rigmarole, but then get to, so Trump's okay. So we don't need to worry about it.
He has to play theater. He has to, like I said, play the LARP. So that's why he could have changed his mind like that. So my point being, the reason I'm bringing all these pieces of the puzzle into the picture, because I want to show you why my intuition is telling me that this is actually something that is good. Now, I want to make a point right here that I don't like war. I don't like violence and bloodshed and all of that. But what I do support is war against evil.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous goddamn behavior by people that should know better. You are being brainwashed. You're being manipulated.
Very well said. Joe from the Carolinas here, folks. On our way out, I do want to thank you so much for all of your kind attention and comments down in the comment section throughout this video. If you enjoyed this presentation, please share it on your forums and social media. Vigilance for victory.